When it comes to matters of the heart, this week's astrology has more than its fair share of twists and turns, but one thing's for certain, the rejections and the redirections in this week's horoscope are truly the cosmos's protection. My name's Comet, and welcome to Just Another Magic Monday, particularly your Just Another Magic Monday astrology forecast for the week of August 7th to August 13th, 2023, where we are discussing, just as we do every single week here in my Cosmic Corner with a cosmic beverage in hand, what we will experience within this week's astrology, but what we really focus upon is how you can co-create with this week's astrology. You are a magical being, and you can utilize these astrological transits and ingresses and stations in order to live with more alignment within your universe. I am not of the belief that we are victims to a cruel and unfriendly cosmos. I think the astrology presents us certain opportunities, and we can either go with the flow or we can fight our way upstream. And it's my recommendation that you go with the flow of the cosmos, and that is why we do Magic Monday. So this week, going with the flow is even more important as we have Venus square Uranus. And if you know anything about Uranus, you know when we have harsh Uranus aspects, things get a little interesting. It definitely keeps us on our toes. There's something unexpected, unpredictable coming up around Venusian themes. This is love, money, beauty. Venus square Uranus can manifest like meeting a random soulmate, but it can also manifest as getting randomly dumped. It can manifest as winning the lottery, but it can also show up as losing $150 on your way home. It can show up as trying new bright pink hair and loving it, or your hair having a bad reaction to the dye and it all falling out. The key word here is that it's things that are unexpected. It does not necessitate necessarily good events nor bad events. It's just simply things that you were not anticipating. Uranus keeps us on our toes. So when it comes to Venus square Uranus, there is going to be a wrench in the week around something that's like record scratch around, wait, what? Now, what's making it even more interesting is that Venus is retrograde. And this aspect has occurred already. So if you look back to the last time Venus squared Uranus, there can be a continuation of that shockwave, of that surprise, just in case any Virgos or Capricorns are sweating when they hear the word unexpected. Like, what do you mean unexpected? Look at what happened the first time Venus squared Uranus. It could be in relation to that. What I know for certain, though, as you navigate this week, there will be a certainty around what your Venus retrograde story has been. Because this week we also have a Venus Cazimi. So the Sun and Venus essentially become one. They unite in the sky. And the Sun is casting a gigantic spotlight on our Venus retrograde story because Venus has been combust. It's been burning up under the rays of the Sun, and now the two unite. And now with the Sun moving forward and Venus moving backwards, there's an illumination. There's an aha. Oh, that's what I'm learning this Venus retrograde. Oh, that's what I'm refining around my finances. Oh, that's what I'm learning in love. There's something unexpected that comes up that might shine a light on it, but when I tell you the light bulb moment around, oh, that's what I'm meant to learn this Venus retrograde, that's where I'm meant to clarify my value, that's where I'm meant to find my sunshine from within, that aha moment is coming. And adding to this theme of going with the flow, Mercury is now in its pre-retrograde shadow. So as of last Friday the 4th, Mercury is now treading through terrain that it will eventually traverse back through. Now, just a heads up, if you have not watched it yet, I did do a Mercury in Virgo all signs forecast so you can see what Mercury in Virgo is prompting you to clean up within your world. But what I want you to know is that it's a time to be cautious when it comes to mercurial matters. Stick to things that are ongoing. And when Mercury is in its pre-shadow retrograde, sometimes we can start to experience a case of the Mercury retrograde blues, right? Technology might not be working accordingly. There can start to be some miscommunications. We have this Uranus energy smack dab in the middle of the week that can make unexpected events occur. It's important to be light on your toes this week and just take what comes up with a grain of salt. It does feel, though, we are in a more positive headspace, even if there are snafus, even if there are things that are unexpected, because we do have Mercury trining Jupiter. This is the good news transit, and last week we had the bad news transit, which was Mercury opposite Saturn. Let me know how that was for you guys below, by the way. I'm Mercury ruled, and That was tough, but we got through it. And now we have Mercury trine Jupiter, where even with things that are unexpected, we're taking it in stride. Like, oh, okay, that's interesting. My hair fell out. Or, oh, that's interesting. This person left me. Or, oh, that's interesting. I won the lottery. Like, we're taking it in stride and we're continuing to feed our mind with positivity. Now, it's a very grounded positivity. Mercury's in its exaltation of Virgo. There really is an eye towards streamlining, organizing, analyzing, but we have this lens towards how we can refine our ongoing projects in order to move towards this growth that the trine to Jupiter is aiming for. Because again, I wouldn't do anything brand new, I wouldn't launch anything brand new, but it's brilliant for taking those half-written short stories, that offering that's out that you know the language is a little sloppy. There really is a lens with Mercury and Virgo to refine, to tune into the details, and with the trine to Jupiter for the purpose of growing. So we've got a packed week, my loves. We're gonna break it all down thematically as well as day by day. But before we get into all of the week's astrology, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you're sipping on to start your week. I'm drinking a sparkling water, but I clearly took some artistic liberty with spicing it up. I put in some edible pink glitter that I had left over from a birthday party that I had last year. It felt appropriate. I know I'm like super over the top right now. I'm going to see Barbie after I finish filming, and I feel like I'm late. I feel like everybody already went to go see it, but I had to wait for all of the girlies to come back from their summer vacations so we could go see it today. I swear, my friend Nye, she just got back yesterday and it's like, nope, we are going to Barbie right when you come back. We have waited long enough. So I'm a little over the top. Cheers, my loves. Let's make it a magical week and let's take it into vibe check of the week. So if you are new to Magic Monday, hello, welcome. I swear I don't typically film my weekly forecast in ridiculous pink fake fur coats, but I'm so happy that you are here. Welcome to the Cosmic Corner. And if you're coming back, hello. It feels so good to be back in the Cosmic Corner. It feels so right. It just feels so right. I missed being in the Cosmic Corner. I missed connecting with you guys every single week. I know I only took a week off, but it felt long. Did it not feel long? But it's good to be back in the Cosmic Corner. Good to be back in San Diego after my July in NY. So if you're returning, you know all about Vibe Check. But if you're new, Vibe Check of the Week is a segment that we do here on Magic Monday where we get you familiar with all of the energies that we'll be experiencing as we navigate this week's astrology. So all of those terms that I was throwing at you, from the Venus Cazimi to Venus square Uranus to Mercury trine Jupiter, we essentially compare all of those energetics to a real life scenario so that even if you forget the nuances around what does Venus square Uranus mean or what does it mean that Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow, you have a vibe, you have a scenario, you have a picture of some of the energies that you can expect as you navigate this week's astrology and how it may come up for you. So this week's astrology feels like the following scenario. Within all of my retrograde content on my channel, I'm big on saying just because people from your past pop up doesn't mean you need to drag them into your future. And that's important to remember right now, because the thing with retrogrades is that it's a flip of direction. Rather than being concerned about the future, we look towards the past. Rather than being concerned about our external reality, we look inward. And as we're kind of looking towards the past, and really with this eye with Mercury and Virgo around closure, completion, streamlining, sometimes we notice that there are some loose ends that need to be tied up. And sometimes we are nostalgic around, oh, I wonder how they're doing. So it does tend to be a time when there are retrogrades for some signs more than others, but we do tend to hear from people from our past. Like I said, just because you hear from someone from your past doesn't mean you need to yank them into your future. And that is part of this week's vibe check. So we'll say in the vibe check of the week, the scenario is this. You heard Haley Comet in the Venus Retrograde video. You can check that out below. If you haven't listened to your forecast, make sure to. You heard me say in that forecast, sometimes it's not a great time to reconnect with your exes during this time, especially if you cannot relate with them in the iteration of who it is that you are at this moment. You heard that, but you hear from an ex, we'll say Steve. You hear from an ex, Steve, and you are looking at this connection through rose-colored glasses. You're like, well, we did have fun together, and I did feel really confident with this person, and maybe we can give it another go. I know they weren't that nice, but it'll be different this time. Like, you never know. And so you're navigating this connection with Steve, and then you're out at the ice cream shop and a girl walks up to you guys and is like hugging on Steve and like asking if they're still down for dinner tomorrow, which was an issue that you experienced during your first go round with Steve. And it's such a random encounter. You're like, out of all of the ice cream shops in this city, what is the likelihood that we would run into somebody who you have a date with tomorrow? And it proves to you, you're kind of in this period around, are you gonna be in my life? Am I gonna let you back? And that proves to you like, no, you're still the same. You have not changed at all. So it's a random, unexpected event, but you almost have this sensation of relief. Has anyone ever experienced that? When somebody gets caught in something and you kind of had an inkling, you're like, have they changed? Like, is something off? And then something happens that gives you clarity, right? Mercury in Virgo, clarity, seeing with 20/20 vision, you have not changed, right? And what are the odds we would run into this person at the ice cream shop? There must be a reason. And it kind of just frees up your mind where it's like, goodbye, right? It gives you clarity. You're like, now I could just phase you out of my life altogether. And now I can just focus on my individual future. That's the vibe of this week. Now, I'm not saying everybody is in that situation, okay, but what I am saying is there can be something unexpected that goes down when it comes to love and relationships, even friendships, where it really catches you by surprise. But with Mercury trine Jupiter happening on the same day as Venus square Uranus, it's something that's giving us some sort of peace of mind, where it's like, okay, that wasn't a great surprise. Obviously, it hurts a little bit that you have a date with somebody else tomorrow when you're begging for me back and taking me to ice cream and saying, let's try again, right? That does hurt. But it almost just clears your mind because you're in this foggy state around, should I not? I have this weird feeling, I don't know. And then something just comes in that throws a wrench into the plans and you just see all of a sudden with crystal clear, like, no. And sometimes it could be so helpful to get out of this limbo, get out of this purgatory around, why do I feel weird? And then something random and unexpected happens where you're just like, well, now I know. Well, now I know. And with Mercury trine Jupiter, it's really this energy around, let me find closure so I can grow forward. I was trying to grow with you, but you're not budging. So now I'm just gonna focus on growing by myself because you've revealed who you are, right? And that's the gift about things like this. It's never fun to discover something about someone or to be rejected or to have something unexpected happen with someone that you care about. It's never a fun experience, but when you can view it through the lens around it is for your protection and it is for your best good. When somebody's authenticity is revealed, when you learn a secret, when you find something out, when somebody reveals who they are, right? It frees you up because it frees you up from the version of them that you thought that they were. And that gives you freedom to move forward within your future because they've showed their cards, they've showed their hand, they've shown their authenticity, right? So you get to see that and decide if you want to move forward with that person or move into your personal future. Now, I'm not saying this is spelling romantic troubles for all of us, okay? This could be a random crush, a random run-in with a crush. This could be doing something spontaneous with your lover. This could be a random bill in the mail. This could be a random check. The theme of Uranus is it's a little bit random. It's a little bit unexpected. But again, with Uranus, it's sometimes like a lightning bolt around something unexpected, something erratic. But with Mercury trine Jupiter, whether it's good news or bad news, it's giving us peace of mind, which is priceless. So we're gonna go ahead and break this down day by day. I wanna just make a couple of quick notes. One being all times that I mentioned will be PDT. So please adjust to your time zone before putting into your planner because oftentimes many of the transits will be on a different day than the one that I state or land at a different time than the one that I state. Also, there is a gear icon that you can utilize to speed me up or slow me down. I do have a tendency to talk very fast. I'm sorry, something I'm conscious of, but it's just how I communicate. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it to the forecast for Monday, August 7th. So good morning, happy Monday, happy moon day at that. And it's a glorious moon day because the moon is transiting the sign of its exaltation, Taurus. And adding to that, it also trines Mercury, who's in its exaltations. So we have this nice earthy trine, which is just a very productive day, but it's very important as you navigate Monday that you maintain a pace of steadiness, that you're very patient thorough, and even painstaking, because the Taurus moon will sextile Saturn in Pisces. And we do need to keep in mind that Mercury is treading through its pre-retrograde shadow, which can make issues start to come up. It's very important as you move into this week and beyond that you are a little bit gentle with yourself in regards to your schedule. Try not to back your meetings back to back to back. Give yourself a cushion to get where it is that you want to go. If you know it's going to take you 10 minutes to drive to the supermarket, allot yourself 15. You can do yourself such a favor during this time by just proceeding at a slow and steady pace, giving yourself a cushion of time. It is not the worst thing in the world to wait, to get to that appointment 7 minutes early and just sit and breathe in the waiting room. Like, you do not need to optimize your schedule so that every single moment is efficient. I know a lot of times it can feel that way, but trust me, you would rather arrive to your destination calm and grounded during this time rather than rushed and hurried. And like, that's the energy with Mercury retrograde in Virgo. I mean, it's not retrograde yet, but it will be soon. There could be this energy around trying to optimize, be as efficient as possible. And there's just things that are out of our control. Like, there's just random traffic jams, or the printer is jammed, all these jam. You go to make a sandwich and there's no jam. Like, sorry, Mercury has nothing to do with jam, but there could be issues, shall we say. So give yourself a cushion. With the energy of the Taurus moon, proceed at a slow and steady pace. Be like the bull. Around, I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this. If someone's trying to rush you, remember, Mercury's in its pre-retrograde shadow. I need to make sure there are no typos. I need to be concise. Let me double check this presentation. Let me leave a little bit earlier. Just strive to move at your own pace. Don't let this world rush you. But it does feel like this lush, productive day. And it's not this productive day where it's like hustle and burnout and feeling drained. It's one of those days where it just proceeds at a very languid pace. You're taking pauses to eat. You're making yourself lunch. You're making a snack. You're handling this, and then you're handling this. And maybe you get distracted for a moment, but you gently make it back to your desired task. There's just a lovely pace, so remember to take breaks, but I will say it's a very fertile day. With an exalted moon training an exalted Mercury, it's fertile when it comes to what it is that we're working on, any sort of communication. Something fascinating about the moon is that it does govern the general public, which is something that we don't often talk about because it feels very counterintuitive, because the moon is about emotions and what is sacred, so it doesn't feel very public, but the moon can signal the kind of instinctual reactions, that feeling of resonance that makes us drawn to certain celebrities or what have you. So if you do have like a routine, nothing brand new, not my recommendation for launches at this time, but let's say you have a certain communication that you need to get out to your mailing list, right? You need to send out a newsletter, you need to post some social media content. There's a nice flow. It would be a great day to like batch content. Mercury in Virgo is very dialed in towards planning, and with the Taurus moon does have an eye towards beauty and towards aesthetic, as well as feeling into what people would resonate with. That's a key part of moon being the luminary of general public. That's important to keep in mind. So proceed with your goals at a slow and steady pace. I will say the Mercury in Virgo energy is helping us communicate with clarity and with conciseness. And what I would also add is, when it comes to Monday, really strive to make a plan for your week. Okay, make a plan for your week and review your schedule. Make sure you are not double booked. I really feel like Mercury retrograde in Virgo, it's going to trip us up with scheduling, and it's going to trip us up with typos. So you want to just be extra on top of communication and calendars, the two C's. And then the evening time around 10 p.m. PDT is technically when the Taurus moon trines Mercury in Virgo. So it can be very aligned in scheduling, planning, organizing as well. That's going to be brilliant for Mercury retrograde in Virgo. A nice election for this would be getting rid of stuff. Like, again, Taurus moon has that eye for aesthetics, and Virgo Mercury has that eye for utilitarian purposes. So you could really be wanting to declutter. That's going to be a huge, this Mercury retrograde in Virgo. I feel like a lot of us are going to want to declutter, because the thing about physical clutter within our home, within our work desk, is that visually it stresses us out. When you have a lot in your mind and then you're taking in a lot of stimuli, it adds to your stress. Go to people who are very successful. Go to their work desk. I promise you it'll be clean. They'll only have what they're dealing with at that particular moment on their desk. That's one of the best things that you can do in terms of the energetics of your work desk. If you're not working on it, put it away. Keep it clean, okay? It helps your brain handle one thing at a time. If you're noticing within your home environment, within your office, you're feeling very frantic, you're feeling very scattered, it would be well worth the time investment to clean up, to streamline, to clear off clutter so that you can think with more clarity. I swear it works. And then that evening, the moon will also build to conjoin Jupiter. It technically doesn't exact until early on Tuesday at 1:11 a.m., which I love that, 111. But you might feel some good feelings, abundant feelings, loving feelings. Would be great to communicate with a loved one. If some intense emotions are coming up, Jupiter is often positive, but we do need to consider that Jupiter is an expander, right? So it can tilt us towards excess. I mean, this would be a great time to make something delicious. You may, eat too much and then your tummy hurts with a conjunction to Jupiter, certainly, but you're in the mood to enjoy. Would be great for a bubble bath. But I do need to highlight Jupiter is an expander. So it could expand our need for nourishment, hence the overeating, overspending temptations of this transit, but also could just expand our emotions in general. And we are building to a crisis point within the moon phase. The lunar phase is the next day is when we have the last quarter moon. And so that tends to be a time in which we are dealing with some more intense emotions. All I would say on Monday is just nourish yourself, take care of yourself, take a bath, make a nice meal, watch a TV show with your love, chill. Okay, so here's the thing. We're gonna get into Tuesday's astrology. I told you to make a plan, and I stand by that. But you also need to be flexible when things do not go according to plan. If you bucket Tuesday, you're like, yes, Tuesday is going to be the day. I'm gonna do all these tasks. Let's say you need to go to the laundromat or something. You're like, Tuesday's laundry day, heck yeah. But then you go to the laundromat and it's closed. And you're like, this was not part of the plan. Like I organized my schedule. This is not part of the plan. What do I even do with my Tuesday? And that's what's going to be important in navigating the forthcoming Mercury retrograde in Virgo is that snafus are going to happen, inconveniences are going to happen. That's why Mercury retrograde in Virgo is going to be very annoying because Virgo is a sign that gets deeply bothered by things being wrong and imperfect. It's like, as a sign, it never quite accepts the fact that things are going to be imperfect. Like it gets very bothered. It really gets under its skin. So with Mercury retrograde in Virgo, you could feel so bothered just standing at the laundromat being like, open, like this was not according to plan. But again, this week, it's like definitely plan and allot and bucket schedule so that you're able to proceed through the week at this calm, steady pace. But you gotta be able to adapt. You gotta be able to, okay, the laundromat's closed. What else can I do at this time? Maybe let me shift Wednesday's tasks here. So this week requires, yes, planning when possible, but also being able to adapt and shapeshift, which technically Virgo's a mutable sign. So it is able to do that, but you just need to make peace with the fact that things are gonna go wrong, okay? Things are going to happen that are not according to plan. Technology is bound to break. Dishwashers are going to need maintenance. Cars are going to need maintenance. Like again, we tend to feel very personally offended when these things come up. And granted, it's never pleasant. No one likes when the laundromat's closed. Nobody likes getting their dishwasher repaired, right? But so much of our life is these boring, mundane aspects of life. Things take maintenance, bodies take maintenance, appliances take maintenance, vehicles take maintenance. Us pouting about it doesn't change the fact that it's gonna come up. It's going to occur. So we gotta just roll with the punches this week. Have a plan, but be open to shifts if the plan does not transpire as you thought that it would. So Tuesday is the last quarter moon. So with fixed moons, it could be a little stubborn, okay, around this was the plan. What do you mean? What do you mean? And we can also be grappling with certain parts of our Aquarius full moon story. So full moon check, how was last week's Aquarius full moon for you? Comment below. It was really fascinating. I met with a lot of clients that day and like some people were like riding so high, like feeling so good. And some people were way down in the dumps. Like that's always what's important to remember with harsh aspects of Jupiter is that Jupiter expands. And when it aspects the moon, it can expand good emotions, it can expand bad emotions. It's feeling things intensely. And of course it's Leo season, so we're a little dramatic. Has anybody else been like that? I swear, all Leo season, every time an inconvenience occurs, I'm just like, And to be honest with you, last quarter moons can get pretty existential. Like it could be this energy where you're like, am I just on this earth to fix my dishwasher until I pass away? Am I on this earth to like have to get an oil change every 3 months? Like, is that what I'm here for? It can almost like plunge you into this intense place where it's like, yes, a minor inconvenience, the dishwasher breaks or something at work occurs, but it almost plunges you into this, why am I here? Is this what I'm here to do? I'm here too. It's Leo season. So So we're being a little dramatic, okay, about certain things, and grant yourself the space. We all are allowed to be a little dramatic when it comes to these sort of things, but the more that we can make peace with, yes, we are here to fix our dishwasher. Yes, we are here to get oil changes and deal with these boring, mundane facets of life, but we're also here to fall in love. We're also here to go to the beach. We're also here to laugh with our best friends. We're also here to create beautiful art. The human experience is varied and a lot of it is mundane, and if anything, create a relationship to the mundane. Find the beauty of the maintenance, right? Like, it's always so helpful for me. Like, again, I get so, like, literally personally offended where I'm like, really, car? I know it's a 2002 Honda that I'm driving around, but like, really, you're gonna have maintenance issues? Like, for real? And I get personally offended, right? Even though that's bound to occur, you drive a really old car. But the more I can shift myself into that mind state around just like feeling so grateful for my car and so grateful to have a vehicle that gets me from point A to point B and so grateful for the check engine light that tells me that something's off with my car. Again, I don't like to see the check engine light. I don't like to see emojis on my dashboard. That's not my favorite thing to see because I know that's money. Little signs there means dollar signs later. But I try to shift in that energy of gratitude around it's signaling to me there's a problem. I need to be able to drive around safely. I'm so grateful to have this vehicle. I genuinely do really love my car. I'm going to be rocking with this car until it no longer makes sense to fix it because it always gets me to where I need to go safely. I have great memories with this car. It really, even though it's an old car, it doesn't require an obscene amount of maintenance. I'm grateful. Again, maybe you're not driving a car from the early thousands, and I get you if not, but maybe you're just feeling it around, oh, I had this work issue, and seeing where you can possibly just have gratitude around, I'm grateful to have this job, I'm grateful to be able to learn from this. Again, maybe we're not there. Sometimes we have to have a diva moment. We need to huff and puff and have a fit, right, within our own ways, but then we have to be able to move on. And I think with Mercury trine Jupiter, it's like, what's the mental state that's gonna allow you to move on? What's gonna allow you to get past this? Sometimes you have to choose that mind state around, this sucks, I don't want to spend money on this, but just shifting in the mind state around me puffing and pouting is not going to take away the fact that this needs to happen. So let me just suck it up and just strive to be grateful that I know this issue with my car and that I get the opportunity to move forward. Okay, that is a muscle to be worked. Have your moment, feel your feelings, but you gotta keep it moving. And so on the 8th, we have that last quarter moon. So again, there can be some feelings that are coming up, perhaps some continuations of the story of whatever came to the surface within your universe on the Aquarius full moon. And there is a kind of a courageous or energetic vibe in the morning time as the Taurus moon does trine Mars in Virgo, which is around, okay, let's get to work, let's handle this. I will say emotions could be a little bit erratic on Tuesday, or things can occur that are up and down and left and right and unexpected. So again, take what comes up as data and you gotta keep it moving. Look to the Taurus moon to just handle things one step at a time. Look to the Mercury in Virgo to just find a pragmatic solution. And then that evening, the Taurus moon does square Venus and Leo, so be mindful of overspending, of overindulging in sweets. That's the vibe when the Taurus moon is squaring its ruler, who's in Leo. Let's be real. Taurus and Leo, these are some bougie energies, right? And it's great to indulge, right? It's great to treat yourself. It's great to have those moments of going out to dinner, buying yourself something nice. But the issue with harsh aspects is that either we could be trying to avoid our emotions via spending money, via desserts, right? Or what have you. Or there could be a temptation of not knowing when to stop, where it's like 3 cookies becomes 12 cookies and then it's not even like enjoyable. So that's just one thing that I would say in regards to Tuesday. You know, and Taurus moon is very sensual and Venus and Leo is very loving. So you might be in the mood to cuddle with your partner, maybe take your partner out, set up a nice romantic date with your partner. But I will say, you know, moving into midweek, we'll talk about it with Wednesday's astrology, but I do want to put it here that the following day is when Venus square Uranus exacts. It exacts early Wednesday. So you might be feeling these Venusian themes, okay? And with the square Uranus, you might be like, get away from me, okay? I actually don't want to have dinner with you. I want to have my own dinner and no one talk to me. Like, I just want to be in my blanket and like, I love you, but I just need a second. Like, that could be a vibe. Like, Uranus can make us crave space and there can be things that are unexpected. So that's just one thing that I want to note, but we'll talk more about it within Wednesday's horoscope. Okay, Wednesday the 9th is when the story gets juicy. because this is when Venus squares Uranus. This is the record scratch moment when you're at the ice cream shop and you run into somebody that Steve has a date with the following day, when he's been begging and pleading for you to please invite him back into your heart and into your life. Like, that is the energy of Venus square Uranus. Now, with Venus retrograde, you could be running into someone from the past. You could be hearing from somebody from your past. It's like I said, we all are kind of focused around closure and completion and connections from the past. And with the square to Uranus, it could be someone out of left field, whether they're reaching out to you or you run into them somewhere. Like, there's parts of this week's astrology that feels like the energetic of running into an ex somewhere, which can honestly be a very pleasant experience. Sometimes it can be a very unpleasant experience other times, depending on how you're feeling that day. Because if you're feeling good and you're looking good, it could be a moment of like strutting past that person, being like, yeah, I'm here. My hair's done. I have this nice outfit on. I'm coming from my cool job. And you get to like flex on them a little bit. Oh my gosh, has anyone ever had one of those experiences? I most certainly have. And it's a great feeling. You get to like just flip your hair and you're like, yeah, fancy seeing you at this Target. But there's also experiences where it's like not your day, not your moment, hair in a bun, feeling gross, and then you're like, oh, I do not want to see you right now. I swear I'm doing good since you left my life. That can be part of Wednesday's astrology. So I'm saying, if you're going in public and you may potentially run into an ex or someone from your past, maybe just put in a little effort to look a little cute so you can at least, flex a little bit. And again, with like Mercury trine Jupiter, it would be this energy around like, running into an ex unexpectedly, which is like a record scratch moment around, oh my gosh, my ex is at this Target, and like maybe having a conversation, and maybe that provides clarity around, oh, this is not the person that I want to be with. Or maybe you get to talk up your accomplishments and talk up all of the amazing facets of your life and, rub it in. Rub it in a little bit around what they're missing and how good you've been doing without them in your life, or what have you. There very much could be that energy on Wednesday. So I'm saying tread cautiously, okay? Your DM request can be a little wild. Your trip to Target might get a little interesting. So just something to be cautious of. And with Venus square Uranus, some of you can be going on a random date. You could be going on a spontaneous date, meeting someone random, dating someone outside of your typical type. With Uranus energy, it gets weird. Invite in the weird. But I also want to highlight here that when it comes to Venus square Uranus, Uranus tends to be a very rebellious energy. And it's a little bit detached as a planet. Like Venus in Leo is very loving and Uranus is very detached. So some people are gaining clarity of their connections. A lot of us are contemplating our connections right now. Venus is retrograde. This is the time that people are like, do I really want to be with this person? And with square Uranus, you could be craving the space to do your own thing. And it's my recommendation that you do wait until Venus is stationing direct if you want to initiate a breakup that stays. We want Venus in new degrees that it will not revisit if you are just like ready. Like, use Venus retrograde to kind of gain closure within your own mind and heart that this is really what you want. But with Venus square Uranus, you could just be like, oh, I just got to get away from you. Some people could be getting the ick, honestly. It might not be so severe. Some people could just be craving the space to do their own thing, be their own person, go on a trip without their partner, go with their friends without their partner. There could just be energy around maybe your partner is being kind of clingy and you're just like, let me live, or you're just wanting the space to do your own thing. And honestly, connections are the most gratifying and the most rewarding when both people have their own lives outside of the connection, and then they can come together and share about those experiences. So if you are in a connection and you're noticing that your crush or your lover is kind of drawing back during this time, try not to stress. Just with Venus square Uranus, we're craving the space to be able to do our own thing and be our own person. And some of us, honestly, there can be something that comes out that is providing us clarity around a connection. And I'm not saying you have to stay in a connection that's not serving you, but again, it's like taking back to the vibe check. It's like, well, now I see who Steve is. Like, when someone shows you who they are, even if it's unfortunate data and you did not want that to be the case, they are setting you free. They are setting you free from the person that you thought that they were. They are setting you free from the idealizing and the fantasizing and the projecting onto this person. They have shown their cards. Steve is the same old Steve, okay? That instance has proven it. And again, Steve is the same old Steve. And when somebody shows their cards, they have freed you. Now, some of this hurts because for some, finding out something unexpected within love, but for some of you can be feeling rejected during this time. And that's also setting you free because you do not want to be with somebody who does not want to be with you. That's not your person. That is simply not your person. I know that doesn't help. Unrequited love can be so challenging, but really with this, what Venus retrograde is trying to show you, because remember, we're having an aha moment with Venus retrograde, is it's trying to reveal to you that's not your person. So there might be a rejection or a perceived rejection that, again, is setting you free. It's giving you all of this brain space where you don't have to fantasize about that person any longer, or think about when am I going to talk to them next, or think about them next. You have the space in order to focus on your own ambitions, your own initiatives, your own drives. You get all of that energy. You get to call it back. Because when you have a crush on somebody, you pour them a lot of energy, okay? And if you can pour that into yourself and be focused on your growth, which Mercury trine Jupiter is trying to signal you to do, you get to level up. You get to level up. You get to call back all of that love and attention that was ultimately gone unused, and you get to pour it into yourself. Has anybody else had that experience where maybe there was a rejection or a breakup and you're just like, well, you have left me no choice. You have left me no choice. Now I have to get even more successful. Now I have to get even hotter. Now I have to have even more fun. You're just like in this level up stance where it's like, you have left me no choice. Again, it could be great fuel, honestly. Breakups and rejections could be great fuel to better yourself, which is what Mercury and Virgo trine Jupiter and Taurus is trying to get you to do. The very first time I ever jogged was after a breakup. So this experience was in high school. I was very religious growing up, and if you grew up going to like youth group or youth camps, you know how it is. Everybody's dating everybody. But I was dating this guy who's very religious, and I don't know how long we were together, maybe 9 months. But that felt like a while when you're a sophomore in high school. And he was going off to a missions trip, you know, a Christian missions trip. And he was not going to have service to talk to me for 3 weeks. So he wrote me a letter for every single day that he would be gone. I know, corny, but we were in high school, and also I'm a Pisces. I love corny stuff. And so every single day would be like day 1, day 2. Every single day, like I'm talking multiple pages letter, I would have a little letter to open and to read and to like have my little daydreams around, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for him to come back. And even though I wasn't able to talk to him, I still felt like we were in constant communication because I had a letter from him to open every single day that he was gone. So the day he comes back, I'm so excited to talk to him. I'm like, he's gonna get his phone back. I can't wait to hear about the trip. And some time is going by and I'm like, that's interesting. He didn't reach out to me the moment his plane landed. And then hours are going by and I'm like, that's interesting. He didn't reach out to me when he got home. Like, I wasn't stalking him, but I was just like assuming like, okay, he's probably driven home from the airport. Like I knew what time the plane landed. He had communicated that before he left. So then that evening, I've been waiting all day. I've been waiting all day. I'm so excited. I read all these letters. I can't wait to tell him how much I loved the letters. And finally he calls me and proceeds to break up with me because God came to him in a dream and told him that he needed to break up with me. And at the time I was shattered. I was so heartbroken. I was like, what do you mean? You just wrote me all these letters. And I was kind of mad at God. I'm like, why is God getting in the middle of my relationship? I mean, at that time I was religious, but not really spiritual. So I was like, what do you mean God came to you in a dream? I mean, who knows? He could have just been throwing an excuse out there. But I was a little mad at God. I'm like, God, mind your business. This is my relationship. But I was upset. Early high school sort of upset, but I was upset. So the next day I just had all this energy and I needed to do something. So I just went for a run. Like I just needed to do something to improve my life. Editing me here, I just wanted to pop in to share that it was beyond just going for that run. All I knew is that after that experience, I had so much energy, I had to put it somewhere. So I went for that run, and the entire time my head was full of thoughts of, I can't believe this happened. I was listening to whatever dramatic music I was listening to in high school. But I knew that by the end of that run, I felt a little bit better. And I remembered that, so I showed up the next day and I thought about him a little bit less, and I was noticing that I was getting better. I was running faster. I was running further. The more that I invested what he had given me back of my time, of my energy, of my heart, the more that I invested it into myself and something that improved my physical, emotional, and mental well-being, the more I was paying myself out dividends. And that kickstarted such an important hobby within my life. Like running and walking, getting outside at least once a day is so interwoven as it relates to just the care and keeping of Haley. And prior to that experience, when I would see people just running outside, I'm like, they're so silly. Where are they going? Like, I was not that person. And so keeping in mind, some of you might be moving through a season where someone has disappointed you or something didn't turn out in the way that you did. And you have this energy that used to be expended towards a situation. You're like, what do I do with it? Invest it in yourself and whatever will pay you out dividends. Maybe it's not, a new hobby. Maybe it's, investing in your friendships. Maybe it is investing energy in your creative projects. Invest in yourself. You will pay out your own best dividends. And I want to highlight what I'm saying here because I want to be very clear. It's never about that person. It's never like, I'm going to get them back. I'm going to be so hot and they won't be able to resist me, or I'm going to get so successful that they won't be able to ignore me or what have you. You can use that as brain fuel to pull more you out of you. That could be powerful for motivation, but it's never about that person, and you'll feel that shift. You'll feel that shift where it's like you might show up to start running that first day because you're like, I'll show him, I'll show him, I'll show him. But it stops being about that other person. You begin to become obsessed with being the best version of yourself. So you can use these experiences to draw motivation from and to keep going and to instill healthy habits or to work on your business or to level up within career, go back to school. Like if it helps you momentarily to be like, I'll show them, they'll see. If that helps you momentarily, but it's never about them. And that's the thing, when it comes to interacting with crushes and lovers and unrequited love and all of these things, is that these individuals that we encounter within this life will draw out different parts of our own experience. They'll draw out different parts of our own creativity or of our own journey. That's why you can't take it personally if someone shows their hand. Maybe their purpose within your life was it. Maybe you had this unrequited love so that you would create this amazing poetry around this person, or maybe you had this unrequited love so it motivate you to go back to school. Like we could be inspired or motivated by these people that come into our journey, but we need to release this idea that things are going to always go according to plan, especially with something that is as unexpected as people. Again, we talk about how technology is unpredictable. People are unpredictable. And that was his journey, that breakup. That was Steve's journey where he was dating multiple people and telling you that he wasn't. That's just who he is, right? And he showed you that, and you could be mad at that, like mad at the disrespect, but again, he showed you who he is. That individual, my high school boyfriend, showed me who he was. And thank God, honestly, quite literally, thank God for coming to him in that dream and telling him, because I'm pretty sure he's a pastor and I'm pretty sure he has children in my hometown, and that clearly, just was not my path. Now, if you were to go back to Haley at that time, I was kicking and screaming. I was like, no, this is my person. He wrote me all these letters. What do you mean God came to you in a dream, right? We want things to go according to plan, right? Our plan. Why are you not acting like the idealized version of you? Why are you not falling into the love story that I've made within my mind? Because people are unpredictable and they're erratic, and we're all living out our own experiences, living out our own truths. The energy of Uranus is about authenticity. It's about trailblazing and rebelliousness. People are not going to fit into the mold that you've casted them in. And when they break out of that mold, when it's revealed that Steve is dating multiple people, when my high school boyfriend told me that God didn't want him to be with me, again, they break out of the mold that you've casted for them, which can be frustrating. Like, what do you mean I'm not going to marry my boyfriend from sophomore year high school? What do you mean me and Steve are gonna get back together and it's gonna work this time? What do you mean? But again, we break our own hearts when we try to force people into a narrative that we have constructed. And sometimes it truly is protection when it is revealed that the person that you thought that they were, that's not the truth at all. And it's hard in the moment. So I really do feel for anyone who is currently navigating a situation like that, whether it's unrequited or someone did something unexpected or out of the norm. But with Mercury trine Jupiter happening on the same day, the truth is setting you free. When someone has departed your life, again, that won't be the story for everybody, okay? So no one panic going into this week's astrology. But when someone has departed your life, they free up all this excess energy. And just with Mercury trine Jupiter, if someone shows you who they are, romantic or friend-wise, it's just be like, okay, and keep it moving. Stay focused on your own journey. Stay focused on being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And if you have to temporarily be like, I'll show my ex-best friend, she'll see how much fun I'm having on the gram or what have you. If that's what helps you get into this momentum of improving your life, so be it, but it's never about that person, okay? There's a distinction there, and it's important to anchor into. So with Wednesday, we're straddling both of these energies, which can come up in love and friendship. It can come up in money as well, like with Venus square Uranus. The garbage disposal breaks with Mercury trine Jupiter, having a positive angle towards it, well, around Well, at least I have a new garbage disposal and this one works so much better, or what have you, or a dishwasher breaks and you get a new dishwasher. That's good, and it makes you sad seeing the money out of your account, but it improves your life. Like, it's really important to focus on the silver lining. I would also say, I've been advising this all Mercury retrograde, I would not do anything drastic as it relates to your appearance. You could be really feeling like you want to break out of your own skin. With Venus retrograde, you could just be feeling like you're ugly, like you're glowing down. You could feel like nothing is beautiful around you, and you just want to do something drastic. You're like, I just need to move. I need new clothes. I need to chop my hair. Like, everything just feels wrong, right? And my advice would just be sit with it for a moment, because Uranus is very erratic. You might find you chop off all your hair and then miss it the next week, or you might find you move and then you're like, well, I actually miss my home. I just needed to deep clean it, or what have you. So just really important with Mercury trine Jupiter, focus on growth, focus on being the best version of yourself. If something unexpected happens with someone, be grateful that that truth was revealed to you. Because I really believe when it comes to, meetups, like the vibe check, if that's ever happened to you or a similar situation, that's God protecting you. Like, that's literally God, the divine cosmos, protecting you, saying, see, they didn't come clean, but we're going to show you. Because it can be such a time waster when you have a certain mold casted for somebody, or you think someone's this way when secretly they're somewhere different. And sometimes it could take an unexpected event to be like, wow, you're not who I thought you were. And sometimes that event can be orchestrated by the divine itself, whether it literally comes to your boyfriend in a dream, or just situations align in order to reveal a certain truth to you. This truth will set you free. Keep your focus on moving forward and being the best that you can possibly be. So in terms of timing, the Mercury square Uranus happens earlier in the day. So there could be an unexpected bill. There can be an unexpected text from a crush, or something unexpected going down in the Venusian themes, as I highlighted. And you might not find that you're able to get into the positivity until later in the day, okay? Because that's always how it is. You have to have your moment, okay? You have to kind of huff and puff and be annoyed at the dishwasher or what have you before you're able to find a silver lining and keep it going. Allow yourself that space. I apologize for the repeat if you watched this in the video, but yesterday I was filming the Mercury retrograde all signs forecast, which you can check out within the link below, and I crammed my schedule. I was not listening to my own advice around keeping scheduling easy. I had a day where I had so much to do. I was already so stressed out, and I had given myself such a small window to film, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I sit down to film, I set up all of my equipment, and then literally right when I hit record, a car outside was playing YOLO by Drake, or I think it's called The Motto. It's like The Motto, YOLO. And what's even weirder is it was on repeat. And like, I was able to find the humor of it. That's important with Mercury retrograde, is to be able to laugh at it. But at first, I was so upset. I literally burst into tears. And I know that feels dramatic, but you know that feeling when you're just overwhelmed already, and then something throws a wrench in your plans and you're just like, I can't take this any longer. And I huffed and puffed. I was super upset. I was like, do I say something to him? But he was in a truck and he was scary. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I was just having a fit in here. And then I had a moment, I was like, wait, this is kind of funny. Like, I was just sitting in this chair, hysterically sobbing, and outside, like, the motto, they say YOLO, like, was playing on repeat, which is just like such a funny song, where I was like, you have to laugh. Like, sometimes you do have to laugh, and I had to free myself from how I thought the day was going to be, just embrace how the day was. And after an hour, Mr. YOLO Man did leave, and I was able to film, and it was fine. Okay, it was all good. I was able to find the humor and keep it moving, but it took some time to get to the positivity around, hey, at least I giggled. At least I laughed. That's very Mercury retrograde within itself, and you keep it moving. So I just want to say the day is bookended, like Venus square Uranus in the morning, Mercury trine Jupiter at night. So it might take some time to have the silver lining, but have faith, it will arise. Moon aspects, your dreams could be interesting. Taurus moon sextile Neptune in Pisces, and then the Taurus moon will trine Pluto in Capricorn at 3:39 a.m., at which point it is void. So when it comes to void moons, it's important tasks you must avoid. And then the moon will enter Gemini, thus breaking the void at 6:05 a.m. I do want to make a note that some astrologers do believe that the moon cannot truly go void in signs that it is in domicile or exalted in. Moon is exalted in Taurus, so up to you. I personally always try to tread lightly, and for me, obviously, personally, but elsewhere in the world, that might be a time that you're trying to do some things. I would not recommend sending the most important email of your life during that time. When the moon enters Gemini, the focus is around communicating, the focus is around connecting. I will highlight that we are now in the waning crescent moon phase, and this is a time around coming inward. It can be a time, even though the Gemini moon wants to connect and network, you might find you're feeling a little bit more inclined to come inward, to withdraw, and I want you to know you're aligned with the cosmos. And honestly, there might be kind of a bummer mood on Wednesday. Honestly, outside of the Venus square Uranus, you might be kicking yourself around, oh, the dishwasher broke, or oh, I ran into my ex and I looked so gross and they probably think I'm a loser now, or oh, I tried to film and someone was playing YOLO. Just with the Gemini moon, we're thinking a lot, we're really in our heads. We've got Gemini moon, Mercury and Virgo, right? A lot of thoughts, okay? And Mercury and Virgo is tuned into all of these details around how things are wrong. And with the Gemini moon squaring Saturn and Pisces, we're beating ourselves up, we're in our head, things can feel annoying or listless. It could just feel like life is very blah. But later that day, and what I want you to reach for, because it is building, reach for the Mercury trine Jupiter. What's the silver lining? What am I learning from this? How am I improving my life from this? And this aspect will be repeated throughout the Mercury retrograde. So I do think the Mercury retrograde will actually be a good thing when it comes to editing, refining, and improving. And just with the trine to Jupiter, you could have your eye on the big picture, but the focus should be on the details that supports the big picture with Mercury and Virgo. So again, typos, little details, they affect the big picture. So this is the time to go back to projects that you have launched and see, hey, are there any typos? Happens to the best of us. Sometimes we're so focused on the vision that we're not so focused on the grammar. And Mercury and Virgo will help you focus on the grammar for the purpose of growth and for the purpose of expansion, the trine to Jupiter. As well as, my creatives, go back into the creative graveyard. Look at bits that you wrote and you haven't used. There can be gems within that to flesh out. So on Wednesday, the 10th, we have a mercurial showdown. So like I said, we have a lot of the cosmos and Mercury ruled signs, the moon in Gemini, Mercury and Mars in Virgo, and they're all kind of clashing here. And we could just be feeling very scattered, very flustered. We have a lot on our mind, and that's why the aim, really with a waning crescent moon and Mercury in its pre-retrograde shadow in Virgo, the focus is on closure and completion, streamlining, organizing, handling pesky to-dos that have been bothering you, doing things that will free up more time space, more brain space for you. It's a time to go simple and just focus on what can I take off my plate. Now, you might be feeling frantic around, I could do this or I could do this with the Gemini moon squaring Mercury and Mars in Virgo, which is why I told you to make a list of what it is that you want to do each day earlier in the week, so that if you're in this energy around, I should answer this email, but I should do this, you have a list to go back to around, okay, my big picture task that I have allotted for Thursday is this, so you can continue to reorient your focus to it. Because let's be real about Gemini moon, focus is not always the strong suit, okay? Have visual cues of where you're meant to be, of what your schedule looks like day to day. I'm telling you, double check your calendars, double check your schedule. Try not to double book yourself. The moon may be in Gemini and Gemini may be the twins, but most of us, we just have one of us, okay? So if you're double booked, you really gotta find clarity around where you're meant to be at what time. And like I said with the day prior, it's important to laugh at yourself or at least have a little bit of fun if possible. There's gonna be snafus, things are going to get wrong. You might get frustrated about them. The Gemini moon squares Mars. You might be mad. Your words might have a little bit bite to them, right? You might compose an email that's like, as per my last email, like you might be a little frustrated. See if you can find the humor. Okay, because the Gemini moon does sextile the Leo sun and it sextiles Venus and Leo. See if you can laugh at it. It's kind of funny that I accidentally attached a photo of me in 3rd grade having a peace sign to this important proposal. It sucks and I'm annoyed and I'm in my head and I'm overthinking it, but I have to laugh. It is kind of funny. Taking back to the vibe check. It's so annoying that we ran into someone who he's going on a date with the next day. I'm so annoyed and mad, but it is kind of funny. It is kind of funny. What are the odds of that? I have to chuckle. And there is a healing vibe that's taking place within the later half of the week. The Gemini moon does sextile Chiron in Aries. The sun will also trine Chiron over the weekend. So there's these healing waves of energy that are coming in. And again, with the Gemini moon, it might be helpful to have affirmations or to have positive self-talk around, okay, it was just one work mistake, we'll just keep going. Or it's just one thing, stay focused, you got this. You might have wasted an hour on this task that didn't work out, but we just gotta keep going. Like self-talk yourself, pep talk yourself. Like after I had my Drake-induced meltdown in the corner, I had to pep talk myself around, girl, it's just a video. It's gonna be okay. You've got this. It's kind of funny. And sometimes you gotta do that for yourself, okay? But I do wanna highlight the Gemini moon squares Mercury in Virgo at 11:02 a.m. PDT. Please be super cautious on all emails, all communication. The Gemini moon will want you to be flustered and have things done yesterday. go slow, refine, double check. And also you can be struggling with a lack of energy. Sometimes that happens with moon squaring Mars. Have your tasks, have your to-dos, reward yourself later in the day with the Gemini moon sextiling Venus and Leo. And around 4:32 p.m. is when the Gemini moon sextiles Sun and Leo. So there's bits of sunshine in the miscommunication. There's bits of sunshine in the overthinking and the overwhelm and what have you. It just feels like there's going to be stuff that's going to annoy you, whether it's at work or honestly the moon square Mars happens at night. So maybe at home, something irritating, right? The energy of Mars can be inflaming. It's kind of annoying, right? But we have these like sextiles to Leo. I do need to highlight to you that sextiles are opportunity aspects. So you could easily navigate Thursday being super frustrated, overwhelmed, all over the place, and feel like you're not able to get anything done because your mind's in many different directions. Or you can really pull in those Leo placements to be able to show up with heart, show up with creativity, show up with positivity, show up with confidence, okay, taking it all in stride. I'll be real with you about Friday the 11th. Friday is one of those Fridays that you're just not productive. You're just not feeling it. You're just not able to focus. That's why Thursday, even though there's energies that could be pulling you away, a lot on your plate, feeling busy, feeling overwhelmed, finding mistakes, what have you, strive to get a lot of your important tasks because Friday is just not it. Okay, Friday is not it. The moon's void for a majority of the workday, I'll say that. And the closing aspect is a square to Neptune, okay? Neptune is la la land. Neptune is fantasy. You are going to be maybe physically in your work desk, but mentally miles away. And the moon will be void from 10:27 a.m. to 3:52 p.m. So that would be a period of time that I would not do anything too terribly important. Submit presentation, loop back on important emails or anything of that nature. Stick to things that are more mundane, okay? Stick to things that it's impossible to screw up even when the moon's void, and really up levels when it relates to moon square Neptune. It's a positive day for daydreaming under a tree, looking at the leaves and questioning what was and what could have been. It's a great day to write poetry or write a screenplay. It's a great day to watch a movie. It's a great day to listen to music. You could just get absorbed. You can get carried away. But you'll notice these themes, they're not really syncing with productivity. If you're near a beach, go to the beach. Go to the beach, look at the waves, ponder. This is giving major ponder energy. Editing Haley here. Also wanted to pop in to add that with the Gemini moon square Neptune, you could be escaping into conversation. What I mean by that is like, I should be working, but I think I'm going to text my friend instead, or I should be working, but I'm just going to get lost on social media, right? Using basically communication or texting to avoid. Some of you can be avoiding conversations or avoiding circling back. It can feel like a lot. Maybe you answer back in your mind and don't totally hear. That's common. And I also just want to say when it comes to harsh Neptune energy, it tends to be very sleepy. So you might be feeling very exhausted on Friday. And then the moon enters Cancer, which with the moon in its rulership of Cancer, we can be feeling things more intensely. The energetic of the moon is waxing and waning, so you can notice your emotions fluctuate more. And you may find you're more apt to have a cozy Friday night at home, wanting to recline into what feels safe for you. So on Saturday the 12th, we have the Leo Sun trining Chiron in Aries. And this is really about letting the light in. This is really about that wound, that painful experience of seeing the other girl that Steve is dating, that painful experience of getting told that God came to your boyfriend in a dream and told him to leave you. That does pave the pathway forward to healing. Now you could take a moment to feel it, to cry, to ugly cry, to get upset, what have you. Like you don't need to deny your emotions, but the moment after the wound is inflicted creates the pathway forward for healing. Like when it comes to Chiron energy, Chiron has to do with all sorts of healing, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, what have you. And if we just think about the intelligence of the human body, when we fall down, when we get a scab, when we get an injury, our body automatically snaps into work around, okay, let's get back to that state of well-being. It sends in reinforcements to start, repairing that scab or what have you. The process of healing starts momentarily after the wound is inflicted, and it's seen when it comes to heartbreak, right? Like it hurts, and even as the cut gets deeper and you're really setting in around, ooh, Steve really lied to me, or like, ooh, God really is against my dating life or something. Even if it sets in, it might hurt a little bit more. That too is part of the healing process. Like the only way out is through sometimes, and Chiron energy reminds us of that. So whatever it is that you are navigating during this time, it really is this energy around letting the light in around where you're healing, around where you're hurting, and really giving yourself permission to move forward towards your healing, because you delay the healing process when you try to keep someone in that idealized version of them that you had imagined them to be. You delay the process of you moving towards the future that's waiting for you when you stay in a relationship that you know is not for you. When you try to force this connection, this crush needs to work out, right? There is a whole other future waiting for you, but you have to release what is not aligning for you at this time. And oftentimes we delay our own healing process. We need to highlight the sun's in a fixed sign, right? And when it comes to fixed energy, we can be so set around this crush has got to work out, this relationship. What do you mean God told you to leave me? What do you mean you're dating other people? Because there could be a temptation at the ice cream shop to be like, oh, it's fine. Okay, it's fine. I could have maybe pushed back on that. I mean, my situation, I don't think you can push back to God. Like, what can you say to that? You can't say anything to that. It's like, well, God said so. Okay, whatever. But I could have been like, well, God's wrong, or like, what have you? We're meant to be together, right? But we delay our own healing, and we delay us getting to the future that is waiting for you. When we let go of the future that we have projected for somebody, we allow ourselves to sink into the future that's waiting for us. And if someone shows you who they are, if someone reveals their feelings, if someone tells you they don't want to be with you, let them go with grace and gratitude. You can miss them, you could be sad, you can feel it, but you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who is deceitful, in Steve's case, with someone who God is literally not wanting you to be with so bad that he's coming to you in a dream. Like, that's real. Was I okay at sophomore year? Like, how was I so bad that God was like, we got to get involved? This angelic guy cannot be around this devilish girl, or whatever was the issue that God was talking about in this dream. But again, those experiences show us who people are. And the truth does set you free. And it does create the pathway forward to healing. With Sun trine Chiron, not all of us are healing from heartbreak necessarily. Maybe you're healing from something that didn't work out. Someone you thought was going to be your best friend forever and that didn't really align, or a job that you thought was going to work out. But with Sun trine Chiron, it's really around just allowing yourself to feel what's coming up, but also knowing that the best is yet to come. In any sort of experience, you either win or you learn. Even there's a relationship where it came to an end, perhaps unexpectedly. Maybe if there was a relationship where somebody didn't even have the decency to tell you their true self, they were doing things that were deceitful or misaligned with the person that they had told you and shown you that they were. Even in those experiences, you learn something, you're wiser for it. And so with Sun in rulership trine Chiron, it is casting a spotlight to where it is that we are wounded, but also what that wound taught us, what that wound has showed us. Maybe Sun is a very creative essence, so maybe creating because of that heartbreak. I mean, there's a reason why so many of our favorite songs and movies are created in these times of intense heartbreak. Like, maybe for you, how it is that you alchemize the hurt is you don't jog the next day. Maybe you go to your violin and you compose a song. When someone has departed in your life, that emotion can be fuel, it can be paint, as well as it can free up brain space around, well, what am I going to do with this arena of my life that used to be dedicated to you? You have freed me. You have set me free to put all that energy that I was putting into you, and you have showed me you are not the one that I should be pouring this energy into. You have given me the gift of my own time, my own attention, and my own energy back. So if possible, to shift into that gratitude. Sometimes we have to be in the wrath for a little bit, and that's okay too. But if possible, to see what that wound has taught you, showed you, revealed to you, either about what it is that you want within a connection, who it is that you are, what it is that you've alchemized because of these painful experiences. And the moon will be in Cancer all day, so you could be deep in the feels. And when it comes to the feels, it could be good feels, it could be bad feels, right? Like, we could be, somewhere where we really are just feeling everything, feeling the love around us. But we can also be in certain scenarios where we are really emotional. And just with the moon and rulership, allow yourself the space to wax and wane and to feel what's coming up, because this is a very healing wave of energy that's coming up over the weekend. And the Cancer moon reminds us to heal it, we must feel it. Because again, I just want to reiterate, the process of healing starts after the wound is inflicted. Like, sometimes when you learn some shady stuff about Steve, or someone breaks up with you over the phone, or whatever happens, right? You're like in shock where you don't feel the full extent of the pain, right? But the healing process starts there because you have knowledge around, oh, they have revealed who they are. And you can start healing. It might go deeper and you might hurt more, but that doesn't mean that you're not healing. You're actually in the pathway to healing. It's only when we delay feeling that and sitting in that we are stagnating the healing process. When we seek to distract ourselves, when we go to find another partner without healing from this person, or when we just jump to the next thing or keep ourselves busy with drinking or partying or what have us to try to avoid that depth of feeling, that's when we sort of delay and honestly elongate the healing process. So feel what's coming up on Saturday. This too is part of your healing journey. And on Sunday the 13th, we have the Venus Cazimi. So as I highlighted, this is when Sun conjoins Venus. When we have the Sun conjoining another planet, it makes a Cazimi. It's a word that means in the heart of the Sun, and it's when the planet and the Sun fuse and become one. And it really casts this spotlight around Venus. So if you're not sure, you're like, Haley, I've watched the Venus retrograde in Leo forecast. I'm not sure what my Venus retrograde story is all about. This weekend, it might be like okay, it was drawing my attention to this pattern that I have within relationships. It was drawing me to this pattern I have when it comes to my confidence and self-worth. There is a spotlight on it. There's an aha. And what I always say on this channel is I'm like, once you know something, you can't unknow it. Right? And this truth, this clarity, this illumination, even if it's bad news, even if it's good news, either way, it's supporting your growth. You could try to avoid it, pretend like you and Steve never ran into that girl, pretend that you have bad service and you didn't hear that God told your boyfriend that you're the devil, or whatever God said in that dream. Like, you can have the tendency to want to escape it and run from it, but with Sun Venus, it's just saying this is setting you free. Whatever the Venus retrograde story is, whatever wrench in the plans that occurred, it's setting you free. It's allowing you to be more of yourself. It's allowing you to be more in your Leo energy of heart and of leadership. It gives me this resilient energy when I think of fire energy, because if you throw anything into fire, you throw, paper or whatever, it burns it up and lets it go. Like, it's very purifying. So when I think of fire energy, it could be something very purifying where it's like you felt those feels and then you just like burnt them away. You took an L on Wednesday when you ran into Steve's other girl. I took a L when my boyfriend told me that God said no to me. Like, you take a L and then like you bounce back. You burn it away and you got to keep on going, right? And just understand that what's ever being revealed to you during this Venus retrograde, some of you are having a great story, some of you are having a not great story, but either way, if you can take these insights, that is your power. When we have Venus conjoining Sun, there can be an egoic energy when it relates to that planet. So that's sort of the energy that I was talking about a little bit on Wednesday, where maybe you want to, get in the best shape of your life to show them, or get super successful to show them. Sure, whatever works as fuel. Whatever works as fuel to call back your attention towards yourself and allow you to get obsessed with yourself and your development rather than this person, because that is not your person, right? If someone showed themselves, that is not your person, and you want to be with someone who God approves of you being with, okay? You want to be with someone where you can go to the ice cream shop in safety, knowing that you won't run into any of his other dates. Like, that's who you deserve to be with, right? And it just feels like with Sun Venus, we could just be kind of getting our strut back. We're kind of feeling ourselves again. And with Sun Venus, there can be an energy around wanting to kind of show off or to feel confident, whatever helps you, in the rebound or whatever process to it. What I would say is just be cautious of where it is that you are egoically relating to love. Because with the two fuse, there can be a temptation around, well, I've got to get a new crush. Now that Steve showed himself, I've got to get a new crush. Now that my high school boyfriend has broken up with me under God's request, I need to get a new boyfriend. Like with Sun Venus, there could be a temptation to use love and romantic attention as a way to puff ourselves up. And again, whatever supports your healing process, but I really would say the emphasis of Venus retrograde is really looking inward. Because again, they have freed up time, space, and mental energy within your life, and you deserve that. You deserve your sunshine. You deserve to pour that into yourself. And it's so dangerous, truly, to hinge our value upon romantic attention, honestly. And I feel like that's a theme with South Node in Libra right now, and Libra answering to a retrograde ruler. Because like I said, people are unpredictable. So if you find your worth and hinge your value on the person that you're dating or the people giving you attention, it's very erratic and your sense of self is constantly going to oscillate. You have to have other things that anchor you, because there's amazing people in the world, loyal, kind, sweet, lovely, generous humans in the world. I'm not negating that, but people are unpredictable. Uranus energy reminds us of that, right? There could be someone that you've been dating for 20 years who randomly is like, I want to travel the globe. And you're like, huh? Where did this come from? We're all on different journeys, and it's beautiful when our paths can come together, but sometimes they have to diverge, and you can be temporarily mad, like, why do you want to date multiple people? Or why is God getting in the way of our connection? Or why do you want to travel the globe? You can get mad, but if paths diverge, paths diverge. What are you going to do? Keep that person from living their truth and developing their potential to freeze them in this current iteration you have here? You've got to let people evolve. And you have to let yourself evolve by hinging your own worth on qualities of yourself that anchor you. Because if you are somebody who constantly needs romantic attention to feel good about yourself, it's constantly going to be this up and down sort of sensation. So I do want to highlight that on Sunday. And honestly, in love, people can be a little, boastful. Like you can go on a date with somebody who's like kind of talking a lot about themselves or something of the nature, peacocking, as they say. And moon aspects, the Cancer moon will sextile Mercury and Mars, making it such a beautiful day to deep clean. I'm not kidding. I know I say this all the time. Great day to deep clean. Streamline, get rid of clutter, get stuff out of your house. It's a waning crescent moon, which is supportive for releasing, shedding as we prepare for next week's Leo new moon, which is insane. I'm so excited to talk about that new moon because that one's wild, okay? But we have this emphasis on clearing out clutter. Now, this could be physical clutter with our homes because it is a Cancer moon. Of course, it's going to be in relation to that, but also emotional clutter, right? That's why it's kind of an emotional weekend. We're feeling stuff because we're like, Steve, I'm not taking you into the next lunar cycle. That's what it means when a lot comes up before a new moon, is you are literally physically, emotionally, or spiritually shedding things that you do not want to take with you into the next lunar phase. So if you're noticing you're navigating the weekend, you're like, so much is coming up and I'm so emotional, that's like your body, mind, and soul signaling you that there's a new start baking for you, and it doesn't want you to focus on Steve. So that's why all this stuff is coming up. So the Steve chapter is done. Okay, Steve has showed his hand. And your Leo new moon story starting next week is just going to take you in a new direction, okay? But also in regards to our physical abodes, we could just be wanting to get rid of clutter, streamline. I would say that for photos too, but I would be cautious with technological stuff, knowing that Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow, but there is an emphasis around cleansing, releasing, clearing. And the sextile to Uranus is a positive energy around letting the new in, like talk about magic in the mundane. Like I was saying, so much of our life is cleaning the house and doing our laundry and calling dishwasher repair people. Like so much of our life are these mundane aspects. And with the sextile to Uranus, whatever you can do to add a little bit of novelty to it, or a little bit of fun to it, or a little bit of lightheartedness to it, or something in the nature. Like I always think of physically cleaning my home, and I know I say this all the time, but I literally think of it as an energetic and a spiritual act, because you are shedding, you are releasing, you are clearing, you're honoring your sanctuary, right? It's housing you, it's protecting you. And it's important to remember that, because a lot of times when we're like paying rent, we're like, oh, this is so annoying, I hate this. But we also need to honor, like, wow, I have a roof over my head, I have this beautiful home, and I need to maintain it. I get to maintain it. That's why it's like when we have our pity parties around, oh, I have to fix the dishwasher. You have a dishwasher. Like that is huge. A lot of people would really want a dishwasher. They would really want a roof above our head. I'm not invalidating the frustration that can come up when those things occur, but it's important to have perspective of these matters, right? To be grateful for the problems that come up. And I know that feels silly. And some of us, I'm speaking to this in very minute, inconsequential things. Some of us are dealing with, major heartache and issues and grief, and I'm not talking to that, but in terms of minute problems, someone would be so grateful to have the problems that you have. Editing Healy here. I apologize for another interruption. I don't know if it's Mercury pre-shadow retrograde or what, but there was a couple points in this video that I feel I was not being that clear. One of the examples of such being the clip that I've since taken out that I will now paraphrase for you here. So essentially what I was expressing was this concept of being grateful for your problems, because problems will never go away. And you might be saying, Healy, as soon as I have this thing, I won't have problems anymore. All of my problems are centered around this thing. Every new chapter of your life, every new iteration of yourself, you will encounter a new set of problems. And sometimes when you sit with the problems that are coming up, you can see past desires of things that you wanted baked into them. For example, from my little meltdown in the cosmic corner when Mr. YOLO Man was playing his song, if I were to sit with it and dissect it, I'm like, okay, you are overwhelmed because you are so busy with work that you can hardly keep up. and that you live in a big city where there's lots of noises. And if I were to sit with that, I would see this is what you used to pray for. You used to pray to live in a big city, downside of which is that it's very noisy here, and you used to pray to have your own business that's really busy. Right? And oftentimes that happens because when we get what we want, it becomes our new normal. And sometimes maintaining what it is that we used to want and what it is that we have currently does take maintenance, does take upkeep, does take having to deal with inconveniences and snafus. And so it's important to keep perspective. And so maybe for you, you're feeling this, your business is going through a slow season. Think back to like when in April, your business was exploding, you were so busy, and you're like, all I need is pause. The universe, listen, maybe this is the pause that you were asking for. Maybe, you are feeling overwhelmed with just how much maintenance your car is taking or how stressful it can be to clean your own house. Think about how much you had to save to buy that car. Think about how much you so wanted to move in with your partner or live on your own. It's not saying that we need to navigate through life just being like positive Pollyanna, like my dishwasher broke, but it's all good. But it is taking that moment to maintain perspective. It is a blessing to maintain the relationships and the belongings and the careers that we have. It is a blessing and an honoring of those manifestations within our life. So remembering to keep that perspective, because the challenges, the struggles, the problems, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they'll never fully stop, and it is where we grow. So just observing where it is that you can navigate your relationship to aforementioned problems. We have to maintain perspective, and the Cancer Moon trine Neptune is supportive of that. But Cancer Moon trine Neptune, deep in the feels. I cannot emphasize to you enough, this weekend might be emotional. It could be time, like spending time with family and like good feels, but a lot could be coming up, like Neptune. That's like the sort of energy where we can cry so much, where we can swim in our own tears, a la Alice in Wonderland. Like that's the energy of Neptune. And just being conscious where it is that you're trying to drink it away, distract it away, that's also a Neptune call and something to be mindful of. And yes, the trine to Neptune implies getting lost in something, but get lost in something that nourishes you with the Cancer Moon. Get lost in art, get lost in friendship, get lost in a hobby, get lost in something that genuinely soothes your soul. And so my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I give myself and others the space to be our own authentic selves. Like I've been talking about with Uranus energy, people can be behaving unexpectedly. Unpredictable events can come up in regards to all sorts of our relationships, and it could be frustrating. This was not part of the plan. Steve was not supposed to have another date with another girl the day after. God was not supposed to come to my high school boyfriend in a dream and tell him to dump my butt. Like, this was not according to plan, right? But just as you need to have the space to live out your authentic truth, to have experiences and to be spontaneous and to flesh out every inch of your potential and of your natal chart, we have to afford other people the potential to do as well. Even if that breaks our heart, because sometimes it's like our desires can diverge, because sometimes there could just be a fork in the road when it relates to the desires of those that we walk through life with. And it's nothing personal to you, it's nothing personal to them. Sometimes life just takes you guys in a different direction, and you can feel that pain, but you got to keep walking your path because your future is there waiting for you. And in terms of a personal lens, embrace the ways that you are rebellious and the ways that you are authentic and your own person, right? Like that's the gift when you have these sort of connections where someone rejects you or something of that nature. That has freed up your mental space where you no longer have to consider that person as a romantic prospect, or maybe a job that you thought was going to work out isn't. That has freed up your time where you have the ability to interview for new jobs or find what is waiting for you, because something is there waiting for you, right? With Venus square Uranus, understand that these redirections and these rejections are truly leading you towards your most authentic path, the one that is waiting for you. That, albeit with the energy of Uranus, it might be strange, it might be off the wall, it might be bizarre, right? But you got to find out, like, how can you befriend the surprises, the twists and turns that life will take, because unfortunately it'll just continue from this point onward. Honor the authenticity of your path and free others within your life to live out and walk their own path as well. The right people will come into your universe when the timing is right, when you guys are able to walk together and really live out the fullest of your own potential, of their own potential. And it's so beautiful when that happens, but also honor that sometimes there can be oscillation of the right people coming in, the right people departing. But what's important at the end of the day is that you are being true to yourself, your own path, marching to the beat of your own drum. And the right people will dance along to its rhythm. So my loves, that is our week. Comment below your favorite heart emoji if you made it to the end. I'm always so appreciative to those who watch to the end because I know that these are pretty long. This Gemini Midheaven has a lot to say, especially on my favorite topic ever, which is about astrology, which is why I really love starting our weeks like this, just sipping a beverage of choice and just geeking out about astrology. I would love to hear what comes to the surface this week, what came to the surface last week. Let me know what's happening within your universe. And I am very curious, what's your favorite heart emoji? There's so many options. I want to know what's your go-to heart emoji. I would love to know. So I'm gonna go see Barbie with my friends. I'm super excited. So my Instagram handle is @HaleyCommentAstrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. So my loves, I will see you next Sunday. But until we meet again, drink lots of water, whether it's sparkly or regular.